The use of chokeholds by police have been banned in Minneapolis in reaction to the killing of George Floyd. Under the agreement with the state, police will be required to report and intervene any time they see an unauthorised use of force by another officer. It also requires authorisation from the police chief to use crowd control weapons, including chemical agents and rubber bullets. Tensions remain high across the US despite the 10th night of protests over George Floyd's death taking on a quieter tone. 2 officers have been suspended after being seen pushing an elderly man to the ground.
Protests continued for a 10th night as people demand justice for George Floyd and call for an end to racial inequality. The demonstrations taking on a quieter tone. This after friends and family paid tribute to Floyd at 2 separate memorial services. But people say they're still pushing for reform.
I've had several people tell me that of the talk with their black son or that, you know, hey, be careful around the police, be careful around the police. And I understand it, but it still breaks my heart.
Los Angeles lifted its curfew order after days of demonstrations, but tensions remain high between protesters and law enforcement across the country. 3 Nevada men face federal arson charges for setting fire to a police patrol vehicle during a Las Vegas protest earlier in the week. In Buffalo, 2 officers have been suspended after video showed them knocking down a 75-year-old man and claimed that he tripped. And in New York City, a standoff between officers and protesters who remained on the streets after curfew. Meanwhile, the cleanup is underway for many cities and businesses impacted by riots earlier in the week. Some businesses had already been closed for weeks due to the coronavirus.
You can't live your life in fear. You have to move on, and if it happens again, it happens again. We just pick up and clean up, fix up, and keep going.
A public viewing for George Floyd will be held Saturday in North Carolina.